Hello, everyone. Welcome to this info session about the Ecuador Galapagos program for this summer. We're going to do some quick introductions to get started here. My name's Scott Ozorowski. I work in the study abroad office and help with some of the behind the scenes logistics and help manage the applications that students apply to the program. And then I'll have your two faculty leaders introduce themselves.
Yeah, and I'm Dr. Windsor Aguirre. I'm a professor in the Department of Biological Sciences, one of the co-instructors of this program, and I'll be teaching the Evolution and Society course.
And I'm Stan Cohn. I'm a professor emeritus in the biology department here, and I will be teaching the natural history course.
All right, well, we're going to go through a little presentation here and we'll have time for questions. You can ask a question at any point or put something in the chat and we'll have time at the end as well. So all study abroad programs at DePaul are based on classes. And so this is a study abroad program that has two courses associated with it. Both of these courses will happen in spring quarter and then the travel will happen in June. So you do need to make sure that you leave space in your schedule that we're going to put you in 8 credit hours in the spring quarter. And you will meet in those classes a handful of times during spring quarter, but it won't be as many times as a normal class because part of the class time is your time in Ecuador for those couple of weeks. So you'll have a 4 credit class that's Bio 104, and that is one where you can get scientific inquiry credit for it if you need that still for your liberal studies domain. And then the second class is Bio 183, and you can get experiential learning credit for that if you need that for your liberal studies domain as well. So I'm going to turn it over now to Windsor and Stan to talk about each of their courses, and then we're going to kind of talk through the itinerary and some highlights of the time in Ecuador.
Yeah, so thanks. I guess I'll start. So like I said, I'm a professor at DePaul and in the biology department, and I'm an evolutionary biologist. So I study how organisms diversify in nature. In my lab, we use genetic markers, so we do a lot of DNA sequencing, and we study morphological variation. And primarily we study freshwater fishes, but I've worked with marine and estuarine fish groups in the past, and so I'm going to be the person teaching the Evolution and Society course. So in Evolution and Society, we're going to go over the theory of evolution by natural selection, its historical importance, how it transformed our understanding of where life comes from and how it diversified and how humans fit in. And then we're also going to talk about the applied importance of evolution for our everyday lives. So we'll talk about how evolution matters from a medical perspective for our health. We'll talk about the importance of evolution in conservation biology, and throughout the course we're going to be highlighting how science works. So we'll talk a lot about the scientific method, and we'll read some original scientific studies and present on those. So related to studies of evolution on the Galapagos Islands. So you see how the scientific method works in practice and how we gain understanding about organisms in nature. Yeah, so that's kind of a synopsis of that course. And what we'll do is Scott mentioned this, but we're really going to meet. The two courses are going to meet back to back. One evening every 2 weeks. So it'll be limited coursework, and it shouldn't interfere with your other classwork. But then we'll have the time in the Galapagos where we'll explore the islands and see the organisms.
Do you know yet what day it's planning to be?
No, we haven't coordinated that. Usually it's a Wednesday or Thursday,
Yeah,
if memory serves me right. Yeah.
yeah, it's usually on a Wednesday. I think we've had the last couple of times.
Yeah. So and Wednesday would work for me. So
Wednesday works
probably.
for me.
Yeah, so probably Wednesday. We just decided.
Wednesday.
Kind of like a 6 to 9 kind of time frame.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's usually about that, right?
Okay, go ahead, Stan.
So hi, I'm Stan Cohn. I'm, as I say, professor emeritus. I'm kind of retired from most of my work at DePaul, but I'm still being teaching courses occasionally, and this is one of the courses I love with Windsor. Is this study abroad, and I will be teaching the natural history part of the course. So this is the part of the course where we're going to be talking about basically the structure of the ecological and physical structure of the islands. How did they form, and how does that relate to the kind of different ecosystems that you see on the islands? And then how do those different ecosystems and ecological zones relate to how the animals have adapted. What are the adaptations that you need to live in all of these different kinds of environments? And one of the fascinating things about the Galapagos that I really love is the fact that you have these islands. It's a whole kind of island evolution process where you have some of these islands that are very close to each other, and you can see how similar types of animals have developed very different adaptations on these islands that are extremely close to one another based on the kind of ecologies that are on the islands and the different types of weather patterns and ecological food that's available in the different islands. So I'll be talking about the different kinds of adaptations that you see in the birds and the reptiles and the fish, and we'll also talk a little bit about one of the things that we like to do in kind of both of our courses is not only talk about the evolution of the islands themselves, but talk a little bit about what are the stresses of trying to develop a system, set of islands that have this wonderful area that's trying to be protected at the same time that you have populations there that are, how do you keep the population in check? How do you keep the waste of the populations in check? And how do you use this to help develop the islands in a way that doesn't destroy the beautiful ecosystems that you have? So we'll be talking a little bit about the stresses that are inherent in this kind of organization of having a world wildlife sanctuary at the same time having populations of residents who are trying to live regular lives. And so hopefully we'll be kind of talking about that as well, of the society and how it interacts with this kind of beautiful ecosystem. Uh, so that's kind of the way mine will be.
Yeah. And here is an overview of the trip. If you want to, one of you wants to maybe talk a little bit through kind of how that's going to work and a little bit about the islands and
Sure. So, and Windsor, you can come in anytime. So we, as you've heard, we meet every other week during the spring quarter, and this is where you'll learn principles of evolution. We'll learn the natural history, because what we want is to give you a strong foundation in the types of things that you're going to be observing. And then a lot of the time is now going to be on the actual trip part. We're going to leave here. This trip is actually going to be a little new for Windsor and I as well because we've modified the trip a little bit this time. So it's kind of going to be some new explorations for all of us. We're going to be flying in from Chicago to Guayaquil, and then you fly from Guayaquil to the Galapagos Islands. And as soon as we fly there, we're going to be boarding a boat. And during this boat, we're going to be going on the boat for 3 days, and you'll be going to lots of different areas. We'll be snorkeling, we'll be doing hikes, and we'll be seeing lots of the different types of land uh, land situations that are on the different islands. When we get off of that, then we're going to be doing more of kind of day tours. We're going to be doing hiking and snorkeling based out of two different areas, one on Isabella Island and one on Santa Cruz Island. So we'll be doing that for the next kind of week and a half, and then we return and fly back to Chicago. In addition to that, what we will have is we'll have assignments for you to do kind of while we're doing the trip. So mainly we have uh, we a journaling that you will be doing while we're on the trip to answer some questions that we give and to give reflection on all of the amazing kinds of adaptations and diversity that we see. And then what you'll also have to do when we come back is the following quarter, that is the fall quarter after we come back that summer, there'll be presentations that everybody will be doing on different animals and to give a sense of the animals, the context, science that we know about that animal, and adaptations that the animal has, and how that adaptation results in uh, better fitness and success for those animals.
and just
And I should add, if I can add, that on the part on when we're on the ship, the first part of the trip, the ship exploration is particularly important because we'll be going to sites that you can't really go
Right.
in a day as part of a day cruise. So the Galapagos is part of a national park. And so there's parts of the Galapagos that aren't in the park. So Santa Cruz, the city of Puerto Ayora, it's a little city with a population of around 12,000 people. Most people don't know that. There's a little town there, and they're fisher people, a lot of tourists. There's a Charles Darwin research station. So that's not part of the park, but most of the islands are part of a national park. So the visit to the sites are very restricted. You can't just come in a private yacht and go to a site, like go because you can get there with your ship. So being on the ship allows us to see some of these fantastic sites that aren't most people can't visit. And then when we're on the islands, Santa Cruz, Isabela, and San Cristobal are the main islands in the Galapagos where there's populations. And so we'll be on two of those because San Cristobal is a little bit too far to visit within the time frame. But Isabela, Santa Cruz has the largest town on the Galapagos, so there you'll see, the local people, and you'll learn what Stan was talking about, the interactions between the people and the park and the conservation. It's kind of this real world scenario of trying to preserve this extraordinary laboratory of evolution, one of the heritage sites for humanity in terms of biological diversity and our understanding of diversity, but also then dealing with people need to live there and they generate waste and they need to bring things in. They need to make a living. There's people that fish. There's fishermen, professional fishermen on the islands. So that'll give us a sense of that. We'll also on Santa Cruz, we'll also visit the Charles Darwin Research Station, which has laboratories that are studying evolution. So we'll get a behind the scenes tour of a lab and from researchers on the site about what they're doing on the islands. And then Isabela is the biggest island on the Galapagos. It has multiple volcanoes. And the local people, if you ask them what their favorite island is, they'll tend to say Isabela because Isabela has really everything you can see on the Galapagos almost is on Isabela. And so it has very different types of systems, and we'll be there and we'll visit some of the important sites on the island while we're there. So we've got this program that has a combination of ship-based visits of sites, but then also day visits.
And then just logistically on the islands, staying in hotels, but on the boat, you're on the boat for those 3 to 4 days and sleeping on the boat. There's cabins in the boat, shared cabins, and we're going to show you a little bit about that boat next. I'm going to bring up the next slide and I'm going to enable sound here. And these are two just quick, like 1-minute videos about the Infinity yacht that you will be on for those first few days of the program. So bring these videos up. And then there's one more video clip here. Gonna give you a little sense of life on the boat in those days. Right. All right.
Yeah, and when we're on the ship, we'll be visiting land sites and we'll be snorkeling,
Right.
and you can see great things on both. And with the snorkeling, the Galapagos, the snorkeling is really fantastic on the Galapagos.
Yes, it's one of the great things there because you do hiking, you do snorkeling, and they'll give us the snorkeling equipment. We'll have that. But have all three of you snorkeled before?
And we got a few couple other people that got on as well. So
Hi, hi, other couple. Um,
I will go
but
first.
but the snorkeling is amazing there, and one of the most incredible things about the Galapagos, kind of both in land and in the ocean, is how close you get to the animals. Is that you cannot go on the islands without a guide, and so they try to maintain the normal procedures there. So you can't get too close to the animals, but you have walking paths that go immediately adjacent to the animals, so that you are about 6 feet, 8 feet away from the animals. And there are some beaches where I tell the students, and they usually don't believe me. You have to be careful that you don't accidentally walk into a sea lion. I mean, because there are beaches that are covered with sea lions, and often they will like be coated in sand. They'll come out of the water and coat themselves in sand, and you'll think they're just like a rock sitting there on the beach. So you're often close to an incredible number of animals, and you can really observe them, take pictures of them, and see them in their natural habitat in a way that you really can't almost anywhere else.
Yeah, and it's a big
Um,
reason. Part of that is because they've evolved in isolation on these islands, and so they're not many predators
right.
for many of these species on the island. So they're just not used to predators, so they're not naturally afraid of people. Many of them.
And
And
so
these
hopefully,
are yeah, these are just to highlight these pictures. These are pictures. We've run this program 3 times before. So these are pictures from the trip, and some of these things we know we'll see. We'll see sea turtles and sea lions. Some of the things we're not sure we'll see. We saw an orca very close on one of the trips, and pilot whales and dolphins and other things. And they're penguins. Galapagos
yeah,
has a resident population of penguins. It's the northernmost population of penguins in the world, and
yeah, the only
um,
tropical penguins that you'll see.
yeah, and so sometimes we see those, and there are also these flightless cormorants. Sometimes you see them. We might not see them on this trip, but there's marine iguanas, and you'll see them in Puerto Llora and Santa Cruz, probably some of the other sites. They're marine iguanas that have evolved to. They basically go into the ocean and they feed on marine algae in the water, and then but they'll sunbathe on land. And so in Puerto Llora, you have to be careful not to step on them. There are
Yeah.
tons of them just there in the town.
Um, yeah, and so to give you a sense, all of these pictures are pictures from our trips. These are pictures that we have taken from these. So these are all the different kinds of animals you see. There's lots of different kinds of birds that we see. There's the Galapagos hawk, and there's the everybody talks about the blue-footed booties. We should be able to see, hopefully, on this trip, certainly two and possibly all three kinds of boobies. The blue-footed and the Nazca booby, and then we're going to islands this time that we hadn't gone to before, where we should be able to see the red-footed booby. And
And
these,
Galapagos is known for the reptiles. They're
yeah,
islands, so they're volcanic in origin. So everything terrestrial on them came from somewhere else. There's no
right.
like real native fauna. They're the community assembled there, and then they adapted and they evolved. And so these are endemic species largely that only occur there. But reptiles do better on these oversea voyages than mammals. So a lot of cool reptiles, and I'll let Stan, talk about this. He teaches the natural history part.
No, I mean, so as you can see, we've got pictures here of the land iguanas, which are big and beautiful. I don't know if we're actually going to see the land iguanas this time. We're not sure because we're going to a couple different spots, but we'll see tons of the marine iguanas still. One of the pictures there you can see is snakes. There's natural snakes that we've seen. A lot of these lava lizards all over the place, and both land and sea turtles. We have those beautiful large sea tortoises. We'll see them on Santa Cruz, and we'll be swimming with the sea turtles. One of the fun things again is when you go snorkeling with the sea turtles. Often they will swim towards you, and you're supposed to stay away from all the animals, both on sea and in land. So you'll have a sea turtle that will be swimming towards you, and you go, which way should I move? And it will look like it's swimming right towards you, and then at the end, it will just kind of slowly veer off. But you get incredibly close to some of these animals.
Yeah, the sea turtles are particularly impressive for me because
Yeah.
I work in mainland Ecuador as well, and in the mainland it's hard to see sea turtles. You see them, but they're not that close. And in some sites in Galapagos, and we might get lucky this time. There's some places where there's a good number of them, and like Stan said, they seem to be completely oblivious to people there. So you have to be careful not to just the current push you into them. We'll get pretty close to them.
And one of the things that we like in this kind of a situation where we're going to be in close quarters on a boat for a few days, and then we're going to be living and working and snorkeling and hiking together for another week and a half, is the amazing friendships that we develop during these trips. You really become very close with one another, and you get a sense of working with each other. So one of the things we always like to do is make sure that the students who we get who go on the trip are people who can kind of are good in these situations where you're in small, close quarters group situations, and you work well with helping each other out whenever you need it. And it's we've just had amazing groups of students.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to talk a little bit about some logistics and then we'll take some questions. So the application deadline is February 1st. Some of you may have started your application already or submitted it, but if you have not, go to the Ecuador program page, click on the Apply Now button, and then make sure to get your application going in this next week. It's pretty straightforward. We just ask you 4 or 5 questions, short answer questions, and then hit the submit button, and that's all you have to do. And then Windsor and Stan, are you doing brief interviews of all the students who
Yes,
apply?
we will be. Yeah, we haven't started scheduling anything yet, but we will be doing interviewing once we have, start with the completed application. And I already see what, like 4 or 5 of you who are on now have already started or completed your applications.
Awesome. And those interviews are not high pressure interviews where you need to worry
No.
about wearing a tie. It's literally, getting together to just chat a little bit, learn about you, and have you ask questions about the program. But they'll be in touch once you've submitted your application in this next week or two. They'll start to get in touch and schedule some time slots for people to sign up for those. In terms of scholarships, we do have study abroad scholarship funding. There is no separate application. As long as you apply for the program by February 1st, you'll automatically be considered for our scholarship funding. We base our scholarships on 2 criteria. One is financial need. We work with the financial aid office and see what the details are from your FAFSA to see what your level of financial need is. And then we look at your GPA. And so somebody who has strong financial need and a strong GPA is going to be most likely to get the largest amount of aid. Those scholarships start at $1,000 and they can range up to almost, the full cost of the program up to about $5,000 is our maximum award. We have limited funds. Not everybody will be able to get scholarship funding, but we do our best to help as many students with the high need and the strong GPA. And again, it could be anywhere from $1,000 to $5,000 basically in terms of that funding. What will happen is sometime at around mid-February, you will get an email from our office that lets you know if you've been accepted to the program. And then within a day or so, if you've been accepted, you'll get a second email that says if you got scholarship funding, and if so, how much that funding was for. And so you understand that. And then we give you a week or two to make your decision if you'd like to move forward or not with the program. And if you do decide to move forward, then we register you in the classwork and get you all set on that. Program fee for the program is $6,300. It includes quite a lot. It's one of our more expensive programs, but that's because it includes a lot and you've got this time on the boat. It's your round trip airfare from Chicago to Ecuador, including the airfare to and from the Galapagos Islands. It's all your accommodations during the program. It's the days on the boat. And most of your meals. It's all your breakfasts, almost all your lunches and dinners, except for a few. All the activities, excursions, transportation. We give you international travel, health and accident insurance. All that's taken care of. So it's really just some spending money for your time on its free time, and a few lunches and dinners is all that you have to pay for aside from that. And again, we've done everything we can to try to keep the cost down. It is this boat that you'll be on. It's going to be a private boat for all of you all. So it's that's the biggest one of the biggest costs is having that boat to be able to take you around for those days as well. But that's a little bit about the cost for the program.
Yeah, and just to interrupt there, there's going to be a free day here, there, a free morning, free afternoon. So that's why some of the meals aren't included. You'll have a free day where you can just go off, and then we won't meet for, the meal, and you can explore.
Yeah. So yeah, if you have any questions as you go along after this, feel free to contact me about anything with the application process or either of the professors about the content of the program or the course. But we will sort of open this up now to any questions that you have. You can just unmute yourself, throw something in the chat. What are you curious about?
I do have a question. First question is, would the scholarships be able to pay for the whole program, or is it up, or is it, as you said, one scholarship capped at 5,000?
Yeah, the cap on the scholarships is 5,000. So if you did get that maximum scholarship, it wouldn't pay for the whole program, but it would pay for a very big and significant part of the program. There are other
Okay,
external scholarships and other things students do, or have a little GoFundMe campaign for friends and family to try to raise money. So there are ways to get additional funding, but that is our main scholarships. On our study abroad scholarship page, we've got a lot of links. There are some other specific scholarships for like certain majors or external scholarships that you can apply for. That is
mhm,
sort of the automatic study abroad DePaul scholarship funding that we have that we award to as many students as we can.
okay.
Yeah.
And I have another question as well.
Yeah.
Is so if we were to get accepted, correct? Do you know if we would have to we would have to keep two slots open for the two classes?
Yeah,
Or,
you'll
you
want
know,
to make sure it's 8 credit hours in spring. So make sure if you want to not pay extra tuition, you need to make sure you don't go over 18 credit hours in your spring quarter. So
okay,
I would say, don't register in more than 10 credit hours, or you can register in some other classes in case. And then if you do get accepted and you decide that you do want to move forward, then just drop a class or two, and then we're going to register you in this. All this will be happening in February and early March. So it's going to be
okay,
before the quarter starts. So maybe give yourself a full quarter of classes if you have your course registration come up, and
yeah,
then you can always drop a couple. But yeah, you'll want to leave space for this. You can overload and go over 18 credit hours, but if you go over 18 credit hours, you have to pay extra tuition for that. So most students like to stay at 18 or below so that that program fee is the only cost and they don't also have to pay extra tuition.
okay. Do you know? Sorry.
Yeah.
Do you know who I can contact in order to, check out all these external scholarships as well?
Yeah, if you just go to the study abroad homepage and just there's a whole scholarships page. So go to the study abroad DePaul page. There's a scholarships page here. I'll actually even just bring it. Let me share my screen again. All right, let me bring it up. Ooh, go away. So just type in DePaul Study Abroad,
Okay.
and that's going to bring you to our homepage. Oh, why is my internet super slow right here? That is weird. Ah, okay. My internet is weirdly not bringing up the page. Oh, here we go. Okay. So DePaul Study Abroad, it says financial aid and scholarships here on the left. If you just click there and then scholarships. And this has got some information on what I just talked about the maximum awards. But as you scroll down, there's a whole section of additional scholarships. Scholarships for certain programs, scholarships for people with certain majors, different need-based scholarships that are like federal and state scholarships, diversity scholarships, scholarships for certain countries. So a ton that you can look through there that are some other scholarships to look into.
And you can apply for all these scholarships,
Yeah,
correct? Like you can apply for separate scholarships,
yeah,
and it'll just accumulate.
some of them are internal DePaul scholarships, but then there are a lot of like external things that are federal grants or other private organizations that have scholarships
Hmm.
look into. But yeah, the main DePaul scholarships, you don't have to do anything. You'll automatically be considered for them just by applying to the program.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, questions.
Um, I was curious for the two advisors for the classes, what the coursework was going to look like, considering that we're only meeting every 2 weeks or every other week. So does that mean, is it going to be more at homework or maybe most of it is in the classroom? How does that look like, especially since it is two classes that take up spots? But you guys, I know you guys said at the beginning it doesn't take up too much of your time in
Right.
comparison to like other coursework.
So yeah, Windsor can talk about his section. I mean, most of ours is based on readings, and then you will be doing either presentations based on the readings, or Windsor has, as he said, scientific articles. But I will be doing kind of readings. A lot of it will be from the. We have a couple of books that we'll be doing a natural history book, as well as having essays that I'm going to have students reading that are about the life of the Galapagos and that kind of interaction between the residents of the Galapagos and trying to maintain the ecosystem itself. So, and then there'll be, I have usually some quizzes. I have a final based on talking about adaptations and what are the types of stresses and what are the types of adaptations and things that you need to account for in different types of ecological zones, things like that. So mine is essentially, I say, readings, responses, um, some like short quizzes, and a final.
Okay.
And again, it's every other week, so it will give you plenty of time usually to read the materials.
Okay.
Yeah, our courses are structured fairly similarly. So, you have a participation grade. So, you're assumed you're going to come. We have discussions. There's some worksheets and things like that. You have a presentation that you'll give based on uh, highlighting how science works. And so we'll find, and I help you with this, find the articles that are appropriate, but we'll find articles that study some aspect of the evolution of a species on the Galapagos Islands, and then you'll present on that. And so the paper will be available for everyone to review, but then we'll learn how do you actually learn new things about organisms, and in this case, about the evolution of organisms on the Galapagos. And then that'll be so we'll meet and we'll do things in class. We'll have discussions. We'll have activities. We'll have readings. But then keep in mind, so it won't be very heavy during the spring because you have a lot of contact hours. In a normal course, you'll have 3 contact hours, every week, and then 10 weeks, and that's it. And so when we're in Galapagos, we'll be there 2 weeks all the time. You're on all the time. So we have an enormous number of contact hours in the Galapagos where you're learning things and interacting. And there'll be the journaling grade Stan mentioned in the Galapagos. So because of that, the spring work, it's not terribly heavy. It shouldn't be a class. It's like, oh God, I wish I could spend more time on chemistry, but I've got Dr. Aguirre's Evolution Society class.
Ah,
Uh, so
well,
it's so it's not going to be a huge load during the quarter. But yeah, we'll be like Stan said before, we'll be giving you the background so when you get to the Galapagos, you're prepared to absorb as much as you can from the field experience, which is the main thing about the study abroad, of
Awesome.
course.
Okay. Thank you. And then my other question was, I know you guys mentioned if everyone has snorkeled, is that something that we need to take like a course on beforehand, or is that something where we'll be able to have everything kind of ready for us when we go? Because I know
Oh,
like in some resorts and stuff like that, you have to be certified beforehand.
For
no.
snorkeling?
Yeah, I've seen it on like websites and stuff, or like I went to Mexico this past summer and they wanted you to have like a certificate of some sort. So I just wanted to make sure that wasn't something that we had to have beforehand.
Usually certificates are more for like scuba diving and stuff like that. I mean,
Okay.
the snorkeling we do is really pretty easy and I mean usually during our interview process, it's one of the questions we ask students is like what their experience has been in the water. Are they comfortable swimming? Are they comfortable snorkeling? Have they done anything like scuba diving? You don't have to do any of that because we've had several students before who had never snorkeled before, and within the first couple of times of snorkeling, we have techniques, and usually that we always go with a guide. We always have a guide everywhere we go, both in the water and on the land. And often they will have, they can even have like floating devices that you can have, or your safety, your flotation device that you can use for snorkeling as you're first learning to snorkel if you've never snorkeled before. So we've had a number of students before who've never snorkeled before, and by the end are loving snorkeling.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you.
And I would add that one of the things is about if you know how to swim, if you know how to swim, then we what we've done in the past is I remember one of the years we had several students that really weren't that comfortable swimming. They could swim a little bit, but not very much. So we asked the guide to basically give a tutorial on how to snorkel, and they did fine. And so we can do that activity too. If you know how to swim, I wouldn't be too worried about being able to snorkel. If you don't know how to swim, then we'll have to figure that out.
I had another question.
Yeah.
We will we be visiting the island of San Cristobal or
We will not be
Matt,
visiting San Cristobal on this trip.
no? Okay, okay. Is there a way that I can access the PowerPoint
Yeah,
to?
I'm gonna take this whole video afterwards and post it on the website. So as of probably by tomorrow or definitely by Monday, if you go to the
Mhm.
homepage of the Ecuador website, you will see a link to this video and you can watch it through again and the slides are all on there and everything. So
yeah, just very briefly, we'll be mostly in the northwest, so we'll be around Santa Cruz and Isabela, and the ship will be around there, and then we'll be staying both on Isabela and Santa Cruz, which is where the other islands, the
And
other
I
big islands
think
with populations
I
are.
think we're going to be mainly at what also Genovesa and Rabida.
Yeah, yeah, we'll see some other islands too. Yeah.
Thank you.
any other questions? All right. Thank you all for coming. And if you have not submitted your application yet, please do that. And then be on the lookout in this next week or two. You're going to start to get an email about a time slot to sign up for your quick little interview. But yeah, hope that's gets you excited about this. Talk to your friends, share it. We're really excited about this program and the new ship and a little bit different itinerary this year. So thanks so much for being here, everybody.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Thank
everyone.
you.
Thank you all very
Bye.
much. We look forward to having you.
All right. Have a great rest of your day, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you guys. Have a good weekend.
Bye. Bye.
You
You guys
too.
have a great weekend.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks.